Alright, so the first thing you want to do is there's a screw right here which holds the reflective lens. You want to undo that screw, and don't forget to do that under any circumstance, because if you try and do this without taking that screw off, you're going to crack your lens. So just remove that screw. That's the only one there. And then what you need to do is to heat up the light all the way around the edge, because there's glue that holds it in. And then there's these little tabs here, and there's one there and one here. So you want to heat it up and then try and separate it slowly and pop those tabs off. Once you heat it up, this plastic will be quite flexible, so you can do it pretty easily. But one thing I would suggest not doing is putting the screwdriver in here and then trying to lever off, especially twisting on this. I tried doing that with another set and I actually cracked, like it'll crack and fly off, and then you basically fucked it. So just take it real slow. I'm going to try to do this mostly with my hands to separate it, but I might use the screwdrivers a little bit, so let's see how we go. You want to take your time heating this, so I'm going to spend a bit of time heating it so that it gets hot, and I recommend wearing gloves because it will get hot, so it might be a good idea. I've just put the heat gun to maximum heat, and I'm going to go around it. Try and keep it even, so don't just concentrate on one spot and then move on to the next one and so on. I try to keep going around because that keeps the glue evenly hot all around. You do have a bit of a buffer, like once it's hot you've got a bit of time to work with it, but try and get it as hot as you can, evenly all around without melting the plastic. See if that's hot enough. Might be. Also careful of these, they're going to be pretty hot, the studs, so try not to touch them. The key here to remember is to go extremely slowly. You don't want to crack the lens like I've done before. But you can see here, see how it's flexing, it's pretty soft at this point. So you can kind of use that to your advantage. Just don't put too much pressure on the lens. So you can kind of do that. So the glue runs right along there, so you want to separate that as best you can by doing this, basically. And once you've done that, it'll start, it'll be much easier to undo it. You can feel it separating as you run the screwdriver along. You want to try and do the same thing down the side. Just be careful on the sides of the lens, because that's where I broke mine. Very easy to do. This process is going to require patience, so be prepared to spend a bit of time doing it. If you rush it, you'll probably break the light, and that's not what you want to do. See here, it's actually starting to separate pretty easy now because it's hot enough. Very careful with that lens. You get the screwdriver right in there and get to the back of the lens and start bending it out like that. You'll be able to get better sort of leverage rather than trying to lever off that. I mean, this piece you can heat up and reshape afterwards and you don't see it anyway, so you're better putting a pressure there than you are in the lens itself that you see, and if it breaks, you know, it's the end of it. So that's why I'm going off that bit. As you can see, it's starting to separate now. Just try and be as even as possible doing this as well. Try and minimize any cracking or anything. When you feel it getting harder, just put more heat on it and it'll make it easier to separate again. So now you can feel it's a lot more flexible. The heat will also make this more flexible too, so it's less likely to crack. But now it's really coming off. Okay, so tabs. There you have it. Lens comes off, no cracks. You can see that's the piece where the screw goes in, so you can see why it's important not to forget it. So there it is, it's come off. That's basically how you do it. What I'm going to do now is I'll cut the white lens. I'll show you doing that as well. I'll cut the white lens for this. I'll separate the other tail light as well. I'll put the clear lens in and I'll glue them back together. And then what I'm intending to do is actually to sand them down and the middle piece, and I'll lightly smoke them. So not black, but just so they're a little bit darker, because I think that'll look good against my red car. So I'll show you the whole process for that as well, but that's how you separate the tail light. Now with this orange bit, what you want to do is, it kind of just sits in there, has a few clips, but you can basically just pull it straight out. So this is the clear lens I'm going to be using. I just got this off eBay because I couldn't find any here. Actually, I'll put a link in the description for it. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just outlining it. And flat side. I'm going to cut that in the shape of the orange lens. You got quite a bit of room to work with because you only really see that center piece. But I'm going to cut it like that and then that's how you have the basic shape. As you can see, it sits in like that. I'm just going to have to trim it to fit exactly. Just a little bit on that end and a bit on this corner. By the way, this is a bit blue because it's still got the protective film on it. It's not actually blue lens. So I've finished trimming this lens here. I had to use the file to finish off some of the edges and this piece here and stuff. But as you can see now, it fits in there like that. So basically that's how you do it, like that, and then the lens will come on, which I'll show. But what I'm going to do on this one is I'm actually going to make another one that to make the clear top as well for my ones. I want to test out what that's going to look like. So yeah, I'm going to cut another 2 plus another one for the bottom on the other side to do the whole lot clear. So yeah, here we go. And just test fitting this one. It's going to go on the opposite side one because I was marking it on the back side. That one's going to go in there, and then this is going to fit like that. So I just need to drill the hole for that lens in there, which is what I've just marked out because that screw needs to go through. So I'm going to do that now. Just one quick thing, if you're making the top clear lens, what you need to do is to make sure that you've got this little tab exposed, and the middle one there as well, and the one on the right there too, because what happens is you get this piece, and that piece, when it sits in there, you'll see in here, just trying to get it to focus, but in there you can see that it has to clip into those little, see that piece goes under that little tab I just showed and clips in. Same on the other sides. So if you don't do that, this middle piece is going to be pushed out and you won't be able to put the lens on fully. So just keep that in mind. You got to keep those little, cut those little tabs out. So another thing I've just noticed is that little piece where the screw goes is causing a massive interference with the lens. So if you're doing the clear top lens, I highly recommend you just cut that right off, like I just did, because that's what's causing me problems. I can't push the top half in. That's why the other side went in so easily, the other tail light, because that broke off on that one. And yeah, it just went straight on. Now I see what the problem is. So yeah, just take that, cut it off. I don't think you really need it. Should glue on anyway. Just like that, no problems. And there we have it. So it was that piece. So yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend cutting that off. It's a fucking stupid thing anyway. Just like that. Glue that, hold that together. Fuck, this is going to be a mess of a cleanup job. But it is what it is. Looks like this one survived without any cracks whatsoever. That one's got a small one, but I think once I tint them it's going to hide it even more, so you shouldn't really see it. It is what it is. Alright, it looks like that's back together. And as you can see, the bottom's not horrendous. It's a little bit ripply, but I'll just try and heat it up and straighten it. But once it's on the car, you won't even see that. So. If you heat it up, it tends to get back most of its shape, so go with that. Right, so that's basically it. I'm just going to clean them up now.